Anything Goes continues on this Tuesday morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to go right now to the KLMR Newsline and visit with a person you may or may not have heard about, but if you haven't, we're going to certainly learn a little bit more about. Ed Havens is joining us right now on the KLMR Newsline. Ed, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it very much. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing fine, Dan, and good morning to you.
So you were born, as I understand it, in Lamar in 1951, and you moved away, in 1978?
Actually, it was 1979, January 1st, 1979. I moved up to Wiggins, Colorado.
Now, it's interesting because you have a really great history, but you decided to get into the business of writing books. and this book, the Sheep Shed, is very interesting. First of all, let's talk about your background. What led you to start writing, and how was your life growing up in Southeast Colorado?
Well, I had no intention of writing a book. Matter of fact, English composition was my very worst subject in school, and Mrs. Monroe could have told you that. But I wanted to jot down some memoirs for my family and just for my kids, to hand down for them. And so I started writing this stuff. I actually got the idea to write this book when I was 14 years old, but it took me until I was 71 years old to do it. So I just started writing memoirs down, and the more I wrote, the more I thought, you know what, I need some help with this because my English is so bad. So I got in touch with Mike Welk, who was a classmate of mine and also an English professor, and he was helping me edit it. Wow. And he said, you ought to submit this to be published. I said, yeah, right. Me? No way. And he kept after me. And so finally, I thought, what the heck? Just to satisfy him, I submitted it to Covenant Publishing, and they took it.
That's excellent.
So and I've never...
The title is called The Sheep Shed, and
right.
and it's a story about 5 preachers' sons growing up on a small farm northeast of Lamar, Colorado.
Right.
So, so give us an idea of what went into your research and kind of how all this whole, all the information that went into the book happened.
Well, actually, I know some people have a hard time believing this, but it's all from memory. I didn't do any research. I mean, I can remember incidents, sights, sounds, smells, everything from 65 years ago, just as clear as if they were today. And so I wrote the whole book from memory.
And it obviously interested you enough to remember it. So give us an example, an example of something that's in the book that you remember vividly.
Oh, I remember vividly my years at Alta Vista School, north of town. Are you familiar with Alta Vista School?
Yes.
We moved from Lamar. I was going to Washington School, and we moved there when I was 10 years old. We moved out north of town to this little farm, and I went to Alta Vista School. And Alta Vista was absolutely phenomenal. Of course, Washington School was too. All of my teachers, all of my schools, I loved them all. But Alta Vista was just extra special because it was a little 3-room country school out there. And Mrs. Gilbert, my teacher, was wonderful. Mr. Whitmire. And you wanted an incident that I remember really well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so this is in the book. We were pretty poor. As a preacher's kid, there was 5 of us on there, and Dad didn't make a lot of money. We were very poor, and we got 1 pair of shoes a year. Well, one year Dad bought us canvas slip-on shoes, and within 2 months they were torn up, dirty, and full of holes and everything else. And I wanted to slide on the ice out in the driveway of Alta Vista School so badly, but I couldn't because of those tennis shoes. Well, one day I was rummaging through the ditch. People dumped trash in the ditch, and there was this pair of really nice leather shoes. And the only problem with them, they had a hole in the bottom of them, and they were 2 sizes too big for me. But I brought them home, shined them all up, and shoved a piece of cardboard to cover up the hole, and put a bunch of toilet paper in the toes,
Wow.
and went to school the next day. And I was sporting some pretty nice looking shoes, and I couldn't wait to recess to go out there and slide on that ice.
And show them off.
And I, yeah, and I took a run at that, started sliding, but unfortunately the hole in the bottom of the shoe caught on the ice.
Oh.
It flipped me. I rolled over and the shoes came off. Toilet paper scattered all over the place, and everything. It was so embarrassing.
Wow.
And my best friend Dennis Brisky, he helped me up and helped me collect things up, and it was just one of the most embarrassing things of my life.
Well,
that happened at Alta Vista.
That's so interesting. Now, were you the son with OCD?
Oh gosh, yes.
Okay. And I mean, OCD, for those, those that have it, it's so dreadful to have it. But how did you overcome it?
I haven't overcome it. I still have it. I just learned to live with it. It's a debilitating thing to have, and that's why the title of the book was "The Sheep Shed: An Obsessive Compulsive Christian Search for the Truth," and that's the book.
Right.
I was raised up by a very strict preacher, and I basically thought that my whole goal in life was just to keep from going to hell, and that's all there was. And that just didn't seem right to me. So all my life I've searched for truth about God instead of the religious ideas that I had in my head.
Right.
And so that's what the book was about.
So give us some truths pertaining to God. And I think it's very helpful, and that this is the reason why we have you on Anything Goes this morning, is that, God, I think, is not spoken about enough, especially in today's world, which needs it more than ever.
Right. Well, the truth that I have discovered about God is that religion does not take the place of God, and religion is man-made, and although religion is necessary, it doesn't really prepare us to have a relationship with God. It prepares us to have a relationship with the church. And I had to I completely left the church, or left religion, and for a while, and that is when I really found out how God works in my life. So,
and then you wrote a book about it.
I wrote a book about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So if somebody gets this book and looks at things the way you're looking at it, so what have you found out, the truths pertaining to God? What truths have you uncovered?
Well, the main truth that I've uncovered is God is on my side. God is for me. He's not against me. He's not sitting up there on the throne with a frown waiting for me to mess up so he can send me to hell. He's on my side, and he wants the best for me, and God is always there with me. I have found out that I don't have to be in control. If I learn how to hear God's voice, that makes things so much easier because it takes the pressure off of me.
Uh-huh. And did you when you first found that you're listening to God, how did you know that was the right path?
That's a hard question to answer, because that's one of the most difficult things for people to realize is God telling me this, or is this me telling me this and saying it's from God?
Because you want to believe it.
Right. It's taken me years to get to that point. Like, trials, like James talks about trials and tribulations and how you grow from those. I always, and people have always told me, pray for these people because they're going through some stuff. Pray that God will deliver them from that and all that. But God is training us through those things. He's training us to be His army, and those trials and tribulations. It's like when I was wrestling. I was really good at wrestling, so I didn't really listen to my coach. My coach kept telling me, you're going to come up against a smart wrestler some of these days, and your strength and quickness is not going to help you because you're going to come up against someone who's smart. And I didn't listen to him, but I did.
Right.
I came up against a kid who was smart, and he pinned me.
Right.
And from that point on, I thought, maybe I should listen to my coach.
In your book, you and we're visiting with the author of the book, The Sheep Shed. Ed Haven's joining us right now on KLMR for this interesting conversation. You not only grew up, obviously the son of a preacher, but you had 4 other siblings as well.
Yes.
Did they grow up the same way? And as I looked at some of the passages or some of the chapters in the book, each one of you followed a different path on life's adventurous journey. So talk about that.
Well, none of my other brothers are blessed with OCD the way I am, and that was my problem, because with OCD everything is black or white. It's there's good or bad, and there's no gray, and there's no relationship. It's all rules and laws and everything else. That's how I took it. That's how OCD affects me. But my other brothers, they all grew up the same way, the same parents, the same farm, everything else, and they all they know how to play, and they know how to have fun in life, and they didn't take this negativeness from religion as seriously as I did. But it's because of my OCD.
And it's interesting you bring that up, because in the book you say you never learned how to play or have fun. And
right.
You always grew up with a much different outlook on life.
How
did that shape you?
It made me an angry person.
Yeah.
I was angry most of my life, and if you read in there, there's when I was going to high school, there were some things that some happened to me. I made some bad decisions, and I became very angry, and I like to fight a lot, and I became an angry fighter in high school, and I missed a lot from my classmates in high school because I was just mad all the time,
Yeah.
and that was, it's a shame.
But
then the 43. I'm sorry.
Go finish your thought.
My 40th reunion, I decided to attend, and I did, and I got back in touch with all my classmates, and I found out there's some pretty cool people in my class, and I finally saw them through eyes that weren't angry, and I love them to death, and I've been in touch with most of them since then,
right.
All the time. Great friends.
Now you're 68 years old now, and your wife of almost 20 years often says that if she could get one thing to change one thing about you, it would be what? To your intense desire to always be working or fixing something instead of having fun. Have you found out a journey to have fun lately?
I'm working on that.
Right.
On that. And by the way, that when that was written, I was 68 years old when I started writing it. It took me several years to write it. Right. I'm 72 now.
Wow.
I'm 72 now.
Right. So
yeah, and my wife has been very helpful to me because she likes to play. She loves to play and have a good time. And I'm more of the kind of guy who goes around the house looking for things that are broken so I can fix. And that's my relaxation, is fixing things and working things and working. I spent 33 years in the car business and just I poured my heart into it and worked hard. I've done that. Everything that I do, it's just I work hard.
When the publisher from Covenant Books out of South Carolina said that they would publish, what was your initial thought? Were you happy with that decision?
I didn't know what to think. I was shocked. I thought sure they would just say, well, it's a nice story, but we're not interested in it. So it shocked me that they said they would do it. And so then I got to thinking, oh my goodness, then I guess I might as well go ahead and have them publish it. So I did, and they were great to work with. They helped me through it all because I don't read books.
Right.
I've probably read 2 books in my life.
Wow.
It's
interesting.
One of them was The Shack. I read that one 3 times, and but I don't buy books. I don't read books. I start to read and I get bored and my mind wanders and I fall asleep.
Yeah. The publisher says that Ed's new book will take readers on a poignant and heartfelt journey through the author's adolescence and beyond, witnessing the trials and triumphs endured along the way, thought-provoking and deep personal Havens weaves an intimate self-portrait that is sure to leave readers spellbound and stay with them a long time as it has a satisfied conclusion. So people can get this book everywhere, right? Like Amazon,
Oh,
and Barnes,
sure.
and Apple iTunes.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Google Books, and it's available as ebook too through Nook for Nook, and Fire tablets and all that.
Yeah.
Or there's another place they can buy it too. There is an online bookstore called the DustyBookshelf.net, and they sell this book, free shipping, and they bring the book to me before they ship it out, and I autograph it.
Oh, that's good.
So if somebody wanted an autographed copy, and I'm not saying that anybody really would, but if somebody would want one, it's the DustyBookshelf.net.
Give that one more time.
The DustyBookshelf.net.
Okay.
All one word. There's a lot of Dusty Bookshelf books, but this one is, bookstores, but this one is DustyBookshelf.net.
Okay.
And it's based in Johnstown, which is just a few miles from here. And they sell a book, and they bring it to me, and I autograph it, and they mail it off.
Well, that's excellent. Well, Ed, it's nice chatting with you. It takes a lot of courage to get out and write a book about oneself. And if this can help somebody else kind of learn about what you went through and kind of guide their life in some way or fashion, that would be a good thing, I think, don't you?
That's my hope, and that's the response that I'm getting from a lot of the people who have read the book. That they said, you know what, I grew up the same way, and people are my gosh, I didn't know there was other people who went through the same things that I did.
That's great.
So in a small community like Lamar, people grow up in tough times.
No question. Ed, thanks for the time this morning. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Have a wonderful day and keep in touch.
I will do that.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.